Welcome to Superdome. USC vs TCU. For this Action PC playoff game. Here's the kick from Jones. The kick from Jones is returned 16 yards by Duckworth, Shell on the tackle. First and 10 at the 25. Single wing formation. Shotgun. O'Brien drops back to pass. Medium hitch. Incomplete. O'Brien throws incomplete to Clark. Second and 10. Single wing formation. O'Brien sets up in the pocket. He dumps it to Looney. Incomplete. O'Brien throws incomplete to Looney, Day on the coverage. Third and 10 from the 25. Single wing formation. O'Brien fades back to pass. O'Brien throws underneath, he makes the catch. O'Brien passes to Clark, 7-yard gain, Banta on the tackle. Sparks deep in punt formation. A 40-yard punt by Sparks, return of 12 by Lansdell. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Lansdell at the line. Hand off to Lansdell. He dumps it to Fisk. He dropped it. Lansdell to Fisk, incomplete. Single wing formation. Lansdell at the line. Back to pass. Lansdell to McNeil, incomplete. Lansdell passes to McNeil, incomplete. Third and 10 at the 40. Single wing formation. The give to Lansdell. He throws to Sangster, complete. Lansdell passes to Sangster, gain of 11, OD on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Hand off to Morgan. Morgan lost one on the play, Warner on the tackle. Single wing formation. Hand off to Lansdell. Pass to Fisk. Incomplete. Lansdell passes to Fisk, incomplete, Clark on the coverage. Third and 11 from the 50. Single wing formation. The give to Lansdell. He throws to Banta. Incomplete. Lansdell throws incomplete to Banta, penalty on the play.
Roughing the passer, defense. Number 43, 15-yard penalty. Automatic, first down.
Single wing formation. Bootleg. Lansdell with the carry, gain of 6, White on the tackle. Second and 4. Single wing formation. The give to Banta. 4-yard run by Banta, Looney with the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Day gives to Banta. Banta gains 4 on the sweep, Looney on the tackle. Second and 6 from the 21. Single wing formation. Lansdale calls the signals. Give to Banta. Banta the ball carrier, no gain, Horner on the tackle. Third and 6. Single wing formation. Lansdale calls out the signals. He fades back to pass. He dumps it to Morgan. Incomplete. Lansdale to Morgan, incomplete, Aldrich on the coverage. Fourth and 6. Single wing formation. Lansdale fades back to pass. False. Has room to run. Lansdale with a gain of 21 on the play, OD on the stop, first down. Fourth and 6 from the 21. Single wing formation. Day sets up in the pocket. Day tucks it under. Day with a gain of 6 on the play, Williams on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Day on the run. Lansdale on the sweep, no gain, Looney on the tackle. Second and 10. Single wing formation. The hand off to Morgan. Morgan on the carry, gain of 3, White on the stop. Third and 7 from the 12. Single wing formation. Lansdale yelling out the signals. Day tucks it under. Lansdale on the carry, no gain, Cook on the tackle. 29-yard attempt for Gasper. Nave to hold. This will give them the lead. Clean snap from McNeil. McNeil with the snap. Gasper missed the 29-yard attempt. Single wing formation. O'Brien in the shotgun. Hall with the give to Clark. Clark on the carry, no gain, Hoffman on the tackle. Second and 10 from the 20. Single wing formation. O'Brien back to pass. Long hitch to Clark. Incomplete. O'Brien throws incomplete to Clark, Banta on the coverage. Third and 10 from the 20. Single wing formation. O'Brien sets up in the pocket. Short pass in the flat to Clifford, he's got it. O'Brien completes the pass to Clifford, gain of 21, Banta on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Clark hands to Clifford. Clifford with a gain of 1 on the play, Stonebreaker on the tackle. Single wing formation. Hand off to O'Brien. He throws to Clark. Incomplete. O'Brien throws incomplete to Clark, Banta on the coverage. Third and 9 from the 42. Single wing formation. O'Brien sets up in the pocket. False. O'Brien on the carry, 6-yard gain, Gasper on the tackle. Sparks back in punt formation. Lansdale waiting inside his own 10. "39-yard punt by Sparks, return of 23 by Lansdale. First and 10 at the 36. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Bootleg. Lansdale on the bootleg, no gain, Looney on the tackle. Second and 10 from the 36. Single wing formation. Hand off to Lansdale. Lansdale throws underneath to Hoffman, incomplete. Lansdale passes to Hoffman, incomplete, Clark on the coverage. Third and 10 from the 36. Single wing formation. Lansdale fades back to pass. Medium out. Incomplete. Lansdale throws incomplete to Fisk, Clark with the coverage. Jones back to punt. "37-yard punt by Jones, return of 14 by O'Brien. Single wing formation. O'Brien from the shotgun. Hall hands to Sparks. Sparks on the carry, no gain, Fisher on the tackle. Second and 10. Single wing formation. O'Brien fades back to pass. False. O'Brien on the carry, gain of 6, Hoffman on the tackle. Third and 4. Single wing formation. O'Brien fades back to pass. Pass in the flat to Clark, complete. O'Brien passes to Clark, touchdown TCU. O'Brien will try the point after. O'Brien converts the extra point, TCU 7, USC 0. Here's the kick from Alexander. The kick from Alexander is returned 24 yards by Peoples, Best on the tackle. Single wing formation. Lansdale from the shotgun. Day gives to Banta. Banta gains 3 on the sweep, Williams on the tackle. Second and 7 from the 34. Single wing formation. Morgan with the handoff. Morgan on the carry, no gain, Klein on the tackle. USC breaks the huddle. Third and 7 from the 34. Single wing formation. Day gives to Banta. Banta on the carry, loss of 1, Aldridge on the tackle. Jones to punt. "42-yard punt by Jones, return of 7 by O'Brien. First and 10 from the 32. Single wing formation. O'Brien in the shotgun. Hall takes the handoff. Hall on the carry, loss of 2, Smith on the tackle. Timeout, TCU. Single wing formation. Sparks with the handoff. Sparks running room. Sparks with the carry, gain of 34, Banta on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Bootleg. Blocking in front. O'Brien with a 11-yard run, Banta on the tackle, first down. First and 10 from the 25. Single wing formation. Give to O'Brien. He throws to Hall. He dropped it. O'Brien throws incomplete to Hall, penalty flag.
Holding defense. Number 70, 5-yard penalty. Automatic, first down.
First and 10 from the 20. Single wing formation. Bootleg. O'Brien lost 7 on the play, Fisher on the tackle. Second and 17 at the 27. Single wing formation. O'Brien at the line. Drops back to pass. Medium out pass. Caught by Horner. O'Brien with the pass to Horner, touchdown TCU. O'Brien will try the point after. The kick by O'Brien is no good, TCU 13, USC 0. Here's the kick from Alexander. The kick from Alexander is returned 16 yards by Peoples, best on the tackle. First and 10. Single wing formation. Lansdell in the shotgun. The give to Sangster. Sangster on the sweep, gain of 6, Klein on the tackle. Penalty on the play.
False start. Offense. Number 28, 5-yard penalty.
Second and 9 from the 28. Single wing formation. Bootleg. Lansdell on the carry, 6-yard gain, penalty on the play.
Illegal chop block. Offense. Number 50.
Single wing formation. Lansdell calling signals. The give to Lansdell. He throws to Sangster, complete. Lansdell passes to Sangster, gain of 10, OD on the tackle. Third and 13 from the 24. Single wing formation. Lansdell sets up in the pocket. Lansdell will run. Lansdell gets to the second level. Lansdell on the carry, gain of 14, Aldrich on the tackle, first down. First and 10. Single wing formation. Day running. Lansdell the ball carrier, gain of 4, Klein on the tackle. Single wing formation. Day behind center. Day on the draw. Day on the carry, gain of 7, Looney on the tackle, first down, end of the first quarter, TCU 13, USC 0. Penalty on the play.
False start. Offense. Number 70, 5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Single wing formation. Lansdell fades back to pass. Lansdell is off and running. Lansdell on the carry, gain of 1, Williams with the tackle. Second and 14 from the 45. Single wing formation. The give to Day. He throws to Fisk, complete. Day completes the pass to Fisk, gain of 15, Clark on the stop, first down. Single wing formation. Lansdell at the line. The give to Lansdell. He throws to Day. He dropped it. Lansdell throws incomplete to Day. Second and 10 at the 40. Single wing formation. Morgan with the handoff. Morgan on the carry, no gain, Hale on the tackle. Third and 10 at the 40. Single wing formation. Day fades back to pass. False. Day with a gain of 5 on the play, Cook on the tackle. Jones from punt formation. "35-yard punt by Jones, touchback." First and 10 at the 20. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Pitch right to Hall. Hall on the carry, loss of 3, Stonebreaker on the tackle. Single wing formation. O'Brien at the line. Give to O'Brien. He throws to Sparks. Incomplete. O'Brien passes to Sparks, incomplete, McNeil on the coverage. Third and 13 from the 17. Single wing formation. Hand off to O'Brien. He throws to Hall. Incomplete. O'Brien passes to Hall, incomplete, penalty on the play.
Roughing the passer, defense. Number 50, 15-yard penalty. Automatic, first down.
First and 10 at the 32. Single wing formation. O'Brien at the line. Hand off to O'Brien. He throws to Clark. Incomplete. O'Brien throws incomplete to Clark, Banta on the coverage. TCU ahead by 13. Second and 10 at the 32. Single wing formation. Hand off to O'Brien. He throws to Hall. Incomplete. O'Brien throws incomplete to Hall, Smith on the coverage. Third and 10 from the 32. Single wing formation. O'Brien fades back to pass. Short button hook to Horner. He dropped it. O'Brien throws incomplete to Horner, Landstill with the coverage. Sparks back in punt formation. "45-yard punt by Sparks, return of 12 by Landstill." Flag on the play.
False start. Offense. Number 68, 5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
First and 15 from the 30. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Landstill at the line. Back to pass. Medium cross to Hoffman, complete. Landstill to Hoffman, gain of 16, OD with the tackle, first down. First and 10 from the 46. Single wing formation. Landstill hollers out the signals. Day gives to Day. Day on the carry, gain of 2, Williams on the stop. Single wing formation. Day gives to Morgan. Morgan lost 1 on the play, Williams on the tackle. Third and 9 at the 47. Single wing formation. Give to Landstill. He throws to Banta. Incomplete. Landstill throws incomplete to Banta, Aldrich on the coverage. Jones back to punt. O'Brien waiting inside his own 10. "44-yard punt by Jones, 15-yard return by O'Brien." TCU leads by 13. Single wing formation. O'Brien in the shotgun. Hand off to O'Brien. He throws to Clark. Complete. O'Brien completes the pass to Clark, gain of 12, Banta on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. O'Brien at the line. Hand off to O'Brien. He throws to Sparks, complete. O'Brien completes the pass to Sparks, gain of 11, McNeil on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Clark with the hand off. Clark on the carry, loss of 1, Smith with the tackle. Single wing formation. Hand off to O'Brien. O'Brien checks down to Clark, complete. O'Brien passes to Clark, gain of 13, Day on the tackle, first down. First and 10 at the 41. Single wing formation. Hand off to O'Brien. He throws to Sparks, complete. O'Brien completes the pass to Sparks, gain of 14, McNeil on the tackle, first down. First and 10 from the 27. Single wing formation. O'Brien at the line. Give to Sparks. Sparks the ball carrier, no gain, Stonebreaker on the tackle. Single wing formation. O'Brien at the line. Give to Clark. Clark on the carry, gain of 5, Banta on the stop. Third and 5 from the 22. Single wing formation. The give to O'Brien. He throws to Sparks. Incomplete. O'Brien throws incomplete to Sparks, McNeil on the coverage. Fourth and 5 at the 22. Single wing formation. O'Brien going through the signals now. Back to pass. Short cross to Horner. Incomplete. O'Brien throws incomplete to Horner, Lansdale on the coverage. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Lansdale at the line. Give to Lansdale. He throws to Banta, complete. Lansdale to Banta, gain of 6, Klein on the tackle. Second and 4. Single wing formation. Bootleg. Lansdale on the bootleg, gain of 8, OD with the tackle, first down. First and 10 from the 36. Single wing formation. Hand off to Lansdale. He throws to Day. Intercepted by Sparks. Lansdale is intercepted by Sparks, return of 0. First and 10 from the 43. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Hall tucks it under. O'Brien lost 3 on the play, Stecker on the tackle. Single wing formation. O'Brien fades back to pass. O'Brien is off and running. O'Brien with a gain of 2 on the play, Gasper on the stop. Third and 11 from the 44. Single wing formation. O'Brien drops back to pass. He throws underneath to Clark, incomplete. O'Brien to Clark, incomplete, Banta on the coverage. Sparks back in punt formation. Lansdale standing inside his own 10. "35-yard punt by Sparks, out of bounds. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Hand off to Lansdale. He throws to Day. Incomplete. Lansdale to Day, incomplete, Sparks on the coverage. Single wing formation. Transfers control to Lansdell. He throws to Banta. Complete. Lansdell with the pass to Banta, gain of 7, Klein on the tackle. Third and 3 from the 16. Single wing formation. Lansdell is back to pass. Lansdell is off and running. Lansdell with a 4-yard run, OD on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Day behind center. Short outside pass. Caught by Fisk at the 34. Day passes to Fisk, gain of 14, Clark on the tackle, first down. First and 10 from the 34. Single wing formation. Lansdell calls out the signals. Give to Banta. Banta on the carry, no gain, Looney on the tackle. Second and 10. Single wing formation. Lansdell at the line. Day counter pitches left to Banta. Banta on the pitch, no gain, Williams on the tackle. Third and 10 at the 34. Single wing formation. USC in a hurry up. Lansdell sets up in the pocket. Lansdell will run. 11-yard run by Lansdell, OD on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. They're in a hurry up. Lansdell drops back to pass. False. Lansdell with the carry, gain of 1, Looney on the tackle. Single wing formation. Hand off to Lansdell. He dumps it to Morgan. Incomplete. Lansdell throws incomplete to Morgan, Aldrich with the coverage. USC trailing by 13. Third and 9. 2:12 left in the second. Single wing formation. Hand off to Lansdell. He throws to Sangster. Complete. Lansdell with the pass to Sangster. Flag on the play.
Holding offense. Number 28, 10-yard penalty.
Jones back in punt formation. O'Brien waiting inside his own 10. "28-yard punt by Jones, out of bounds. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Hall gives to Clark. Clark lost one on the play, Hoffman with the tackle. Horned Frogs by 13. Single wing formation. The give to Clark. Clark on the carry, gain of 3, Banta on the stop. Third and 8 from the 20. Single wing formation. O'Brien sets up in the pocket. O'Brien is off and running. O'Brien on the carry, gain of 9, Day on the stop, first down. Single wing formation. Bootleg. O'Brien on the bootleg, no gain, Hoffman on the tackle. Single wing formation. The give to Hall. Hall on the carry, gain of 6, Stonebreaker on the tackle. TCU by 13. Third and 4. 1:04 left in the second. Single wing formation. Pitch left to Clark. Clark on the carry, gain of 5, Fisk with the tackle, first down. TCU by 13. First and 10 from the 40. 0:39 left in the second. Single wing formation. O'Brien fades deep in the pocket. False. O'Brien the ball carrier, 6-yard gain, Fisk on the tackle. Third and 4 from the 46. Single wing formation. Hand off to O'Brien. He throws to Sparks. He dropped it. O'Brien throws incomplete to Sparks, McNeil with the coverage. Sparks deep in punt formation. Lansdell standing inside his own 10. "45-yard punt by Sparks, return of 18 by Lansdell. Day running. End of the first half, TCU 13, USC 0. Alexander to kick off. The kick from Alexander is returned 32 yards by Lansdell, best on the tackle. Single wing formation. From the shotgun. The hand off to Morgan. Morgan the ball carrier, gain of 1, Williams on the tackle. Second and 9 from the 47. Single wing formation. Give to Lansdell. He throws to Day. Complete. Lansdell completes the pass to Day, 15-yard gain, Klein on the tackle, first down. First and 10 from the 38. Single wing formation. Banta with the hand off. Banta on the carry, gain of 5, Aldrich on the tackle. Second and 5 from the 33. Single wing formation. Bootleg. 2-yard gain by Lansdell, Looney on the tackle. Third and 3 from the 31. Single wing formation. Hand off to Banta. Banta dumps it to Hoffman. Incomplete. Banta throws incomplete to Hoffman, OD on the coverage. Fourth and 3. Single wing formation. Lansdell fades back to pass. Screen to Morgan. Complete. Lansdell with the pass to Morgan, gain of 8, Aldrich on the stop, first down. USC trailing by 13. Single wing formation. Lansdell barks out the signals. Morgan with the hand off. Morgan the ball carrier, gain of 1, Warner on the tackle. Single wing formation. Hand off to Lansdell. He throws to Banta. Incomplete. Lansdell throws incomplete to Banta, Klein on the coverage. Third and 9 from the 22. Single wing formation. Lansdell drops back to pass. Short curl. Incomplete. Lansdell to Fisk, incomplete, Clark on the coverage. USC trailing by 13. Fourth and 9 from the 22. Single wing formation. Hand off to Banta. He throws to Fisk. Incomplete. Banta with the pass to Fisk, incomplete, Clark on the coverage. Single wing formation. Shotgun. End around to Clifford. 12-yard gain by Clifford, Banta on the tackle, first down. First and 10 from the 34. Single wing formation. O'Brien calling signals. Drops back to pass. O'Brien throws underneath to Clark, incomplete. O'Brien throws incomplete to Clark, Banta on the coverage. Horned Frogs ahead by 13. Second and 10 from the 34. Single wing formation. The hand off to Sparks. Sparks on the sweep, gain of 1, Stecker on the tackle. Third and 9 at the 35. Single wing formation. O'Brien barks out the signals. Hand off to O'Brien. He throws to Clark. Incomplete. O'Brien passes to Clark, incomplete, Banta on the coverage. Sparks from punt formation. A 40-yard punt by Sparks, 16-yard return by Lansdell. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Lansdell calling signals. Bootleg. Lansdell lost 3 on the play, White with the tackle. USC trailing by 13. Second and 13 at the 38. Single wing formation. Lansdell at the line. Dave fades back to pass. False. Day the ball carrier, gain of 5, White on the tackle. Third and 8 from the 43. Single wing formation. Day on the run. Lansdell on the sweep, gain of 8, OD on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. The give to Lansdell. He throws to Sangster. Incomplete. Lansdell throws incomplete to Sangster, OD on the coverage. Single wing formation. Lansdell back to pass. He passes to Banta. Incomplete. Lansdell with the pass to Banta, incomplete, Klein on the coverage. Third and 10. Single wing formation. Lansdell drops back to pass. It's dumped to Morgan. Incomplete. Lansdell throws incomplete to Morgan, Aldrich with the coverage. Jones back in punt formation. O'Brien waiting inside his own 10. A 22-yard punt by Jones, out of bounds. TCU ahead by 13. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Hall tucks it under. O'Brien gets to the second level. O'Brien with a gain of 12 on the play, Stecker on the stop, first down. Single wing formation. O'Brien back to pass. Medium hitch. Incomplete. O'Brien to Clark, incomplete, Banta on the coverage. TCU breaks the huddle. TCU by 13. Single wing formation. All running. O'Brien on the sweep, gain of 12, Banta on the tackle, first down. First and 10 from the 49. Single wing formation. Hall pitches right to Hall. Hall on the pitch, no gain, Stonebreaker on the tackle. Horned Frogs by 13. Single wing formation. Bootleg. O'Brien on the bootleg, no gain, McNeil on the tackle. Third and 10 from the 49. Single wing formation. O'Brien fades back to pass. Medium cross to Looney. Complete. O'Brien completes the pass to Looney, touchdown TCU. O'Brien will try the point after. The kick by O'Brien is no good, TCU 19, USC 0. Here's the kick from Alexander. The kick from Alexander is returned 24 yards by Lansdell, best on the tackle. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Day gives to Day. Day with a 1-yard run, White on the tackle. USC breaks the huddle. Single wing formation. Banta with the handoff. 3-yard gain by Banta, Looney on the tackle. Third and 6 from the 39. Single wing formation. Bootleg. Lansdell on the bootleg, no gain, Warner on the stop. Jones deep in punt formation. A 45-yard punt by Jones, return of 13 by O'Brien. Single wing formation. Shotgun. O'Brien calls out the signals. Running right. Fumble. Hall on the pitch, no gain, flag on the field.
Illegal motion, offense, number 36, 5-yard penalty.
Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Day pitches left to Morgan. Morgan on the carry, gain of 3, Looney on the tackle. Flag on the field.
False start, offense, number 42, 5-yard penalty, repeat, second down.
Single wing formation. Lansdell back to pass. Lansdell throws to Sangster. Incomplete. Lansdell throws incomplete to Sangster, OD on the coverage. Third and 12. Single wing formation. Lansdell sets up in the pocket. Lansdell is off and running. 1-yard run by Lansdell, Klein on the tackle. Fourth and 11 from the 30. Single wing formation. Lansdell at the line. Give to Day. He throws underneath to Fisk. Incomplete. Day to Fisk. Incomplete. Clark on the coverage. Single wing formation. O'Brien in the shotgun. Hall running. O'Brien with a 5-yard run, Gasper on the stop. Second and 5 from the 35. Single wing formation. Slow down. O'Brien barks out the signals. Hall shovels it to Hall. Hall lost 2 on the play. Flag on the play.
Offsides, defense. Number 38, 5-yard penalty.
TCU leads by 19. First and 10 from the 40. Single wing formation. The give to O'Brien. He checks down to Horner. Incomplete. O'Brien passes to Horner. Incomplete. Lansdell on the coverage. Single wing formation. The handoff to Hall. Hall on the carry, no gain. Gasper on the tackle. Third and 10. Single wing formation. TCU taking their time. Hand off to O'Brien. He throws to Hall. Incomplete. O'Brien throws incomplete to Hall. Smith with the coverage. Sparks will punt. "45-yard punt by Sparks, return of 13 by Lansdell. USC trailing by 19. First and 10 at the 28. 0:49 in the third. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Day hands to Morgan. Morgan on the carry, 1-yard gain, White with the tackle. Second and 9 at the 29. Single wing formation. Lansdell calling signals. Transfers control to Lansdell. He throws to Banta. Incomplete. Lansdell to Banta, incomplete. Klein on the coverage. Third and 9 from the 29. Single wing formation. Day behind center. Medium hitch to Morgan. He dropped it. Day passes to Morgan, incomplete. Aldrich on the coverage. End of the third quarter. TCU 19. Jones back in punt formation. "45-yard punt by Jones, return of 7 by O'Brien. Single wing formation. O'Brien from the shotgun. O'Brien calls the signals. Give to O'Brien. He throws to Clark. Incomplete. O'Brien throws incomplete to Clark. Banta on the coverage. Single wing formation. O'Brien calls the signals. O'Brien fades back to pass. Cross. O'Brien with the carry, gain of 1, penalty on the play. TCU by 19. Third and 9. Single wing formation. Slow down offense. O'Brien calls the signals. He fades back to pass. Medium button hook. Caught by Looney at the 44. O'Brien completes the pass to Looney, gain of 29, Banta on the stop, first down. TCU by 19. Single wing formation. Slow down offense. Hall shovels it to Sparks. Sparks on the carry, gain of 1, Smith on the stop. Single wing formation. O'Brien taking his time. Bootleg. O'Brien on the carry, gain of 6, Gasper on the tackle. Third and 3 at the 30. Single wing formation. TCU taking their time. O'Brien at the line. Fades back to pass. Short out to Horner. Complete. O'Brien to Horner, touchdown TCU. O'Brien will try the point after. O'Brien makes the extra point, TCU 26, USC 0. Alexander to kick off. The kick from Alexander is returned 23 yards by Peoples, Ware on the tackle. USC trailing by 26. First and 10 from the 39. Single wing formation. Lansdell in the shotgun. Lansdell calls out the signals. Day with the give to Banta. Banta the ball carrier, no gain, Looney with the tackle. Single wing formation. Lansdell is back to pass. Medium slant. Incomplete. Lansdell passes to Hoffman, incomplete, OD on the coverage. Third and 10 from the 39. Single wing formation. Lansdell back to pass. Lansdell dumps it to Banta. Incomplete. Lansdell throws incomplete to Banta, Klein on the coverage. Jones back to punt. "42-yard punt by Jones, return of 10 by O'Brien. Single wing formation. From the shotgun. Hall tucks it under. O'Brien on the sweep, no gain, Fisk with the tackle. Horned Frogs by 26. Single wing formation. O'Brien slow to the line. Give to O'Brien. He throws to Hall. Incomplete. O'Brien to Hall, incomplete, Smith on the coverage.
Pass interference, defense. Number 70, 10-yard penalty. Automatic, first down.
Single wing formation. Hall gives to Hall. Hall on the sweep, 3-yard gain, Stonebreaker on the tackle. Second and 7 from the 42. Single wing formation. TCU working slowly. Bootleg. O'Brien the ball carrier, loss of 4, McNeil on the stop. Third and 11. Single wing formation. They're taking their time. O'Brien at the line. He fades back to pass. Medium into Looney. Incomplete. O'Brien throws incomplete to Looney, Day on the coverage. Sparks from punt formation. "45-yard punt by Sparks, return of 11 by Lansdell. USC trailing by 26. Single wing formation. Lansdell in the shotgun. Bootleg. Lansdell on the carry, no gain, White on the tackle. USC trailing by 26. Second and 10 from the 28. Single wing formation. Lansdell calling signals. Hand off to Lansdell. He throws to Day. Incomplete. Lansdell throws incomplete to Day. Flag on the play.
Offsetting penalties. Repeat, second down.
USC trailing by 26. Second and 10 from the 28. Single wing formation. Lansdell back to pass. Short slant. Incomplete. Lansdale throws incomplete to Hoffman. Third and 10 from the 28. Single wing formation. Day sets to throw. False. Day on the carry, gain of 3, Warner on the tackle. Jones back in punt formation. "40-yard punt by Jones, return of 9 by O'Brien. Single wing formation. O'Brien in the shotgun. The handoff to Clark. Clark on the carry, gain of 1, Stecker with the tackle. Single wing formation. Slow down offense. Hall tucks it under. O'Brien on the sweep, loss of 4, Stecker on the tackle. Third and 13 at the 35. Single wing formation. TCU in no hurry. Give to O'Brien. He throws to Sparks. Complete. O'Brien to Sparks, gain of 14, McNeil on the stop, first down. Single wing formation. Slow down offense. O'Brien fades back to pass. False. O'Brien the ball carrier, gain of 3, Fisk on the tackle. Single wing formation. They're in a slow down. Clark with the ball now. 4-yard gain by Clark, Hoffman on the stop. Third and 3 from the 44. They're taking their time. Coward hands to Clifford. Clifford on the carry, no gain, Stecker with the tackle. Sparks from punt formation. Lansdale standing inside his own 10. A 44-yard punt by Sparks, touchback. Single wing formation. Lansdale from the shotgun. Lansdale calling signals. Some movement up front. Possible free play for Lansdale. Hand off to Day. He dumps it to Fisk. He dropped it. Day throws incomplete to Fisk. USC trailing by 26. Single wing formation. Lansdale fades back to pass. Lansdale is off and running. Lansdale on the carry, gain of 1, Jordan on the tackle. Third and 9. Single wing formation. Lansdale drops back to pass. Medium crossing pass to Fisk, complete. Lansdale passes to Fisk, gain of 18, Best on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Lansdale calls out the signals. He fades back to pass. Short out pass to Hoffman. He dropped it. Lansdale throws incomplete to Hoffman, Coward on the coverage. Second and 10. Single wing formation. Lansdale at the line. He fades back to pass. Long hitch. Incomplete. Lansdale throws incomplete to Sangster, penalty flag.
Holding, offense. Number 28, 10-yard penalty.
USC down 26. Single wing formation. Lansdale fades back to pass. Medium out to Hoffman. Incomplete. Lansdale to Hoffman, incomplete. USC breaks the huddle. 3rd and 20. Single wing formation. Lansdale calling signals. Lansdale fades back to pass. Lansdale will run. Lansdale on the carry, gain of 4, Hall on the tackle. Jones from punt formation. "47-yard punt by Jones, no return." TCU leads by 26. Coward pitches right to Duckworth. Duckworth gains 9 on the pitch, Jesse on the stop. TCU by 26. 2nd and 1 from the 29. Coward slow to the line. Coward calls the signals. Coward gives to Hall. Hall on the sweep, no gain, Tonelli on the tackle. Coward takes a knee. Coward will take a knee. USC trailing by 26. 1st and 10. 0:07 in the 4th. Single wing formation. From the shotgun. Lansdale drops back to pass. Lansdale will have to run. Lansdale with a gain of 2 on the play, Malone with the tackle, TCU 26, USC 0. Welcome to Sun Devil Stadium. Duke against Colgate. For this Action PC playoff game. Scoville boots it. The kick from Scoville is returned 13 yards by Mosley, Kaziria with the tackle. Single wing formation. Mosley from the shotgun. Pitch right to Bradford. Bradford on the pitch, no gain, Scoville on the tackle. Second and 10 from the 27. Single wing formation. Holm with the handoff. Holm on the sweep, no gain, Wemple with the tackle. Third and 10 at the 27. Single wing formation. Mosley back to pass. Mosley throws underneath to Davis, incomplete. Mosley throws incomplete to Davis, Buck on the coverage. Hughes back in punt formation. "26-yard punt by Hughes, out of bounds."
Offsides, offense. 5-yard penalty.
Single wing formation. Lube from the shotgun. Wilson with the give to Hogue. Hogue with a gain of 4 on the play, Blackwell on the tackle. Second and 6 from the 49. Single wing formation. Lube fades back to pass. False. 1 yard run by Lube. Penalty on the play.
Holding. Offense. Number 17. 10-yard penalty.
Single wing formation. Lube sets up in the pocket. Long sideline pass. Incomplete. Lube throws incomplete to Donnelly. Lube brings them to the line. 3rd and 16 from the 41. Single wing formation. Lube calls out the signals. Hand off to Wilson. He throws downfield to Wemple. Incomplete. Lube throws incomplete to Wemple. Flag on the field.
Roughing the passer. Defense. Number 20. 15-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
Single wing formation. Herman with the handoff. Herman on the carry, no gain. Shoemaker on the tackle. Single wing formation. Hand off to Herman. Herman the ball carrier, no gain. Bostic on the tackle. Third and 10 at the 44. Single wing formation. Lube fades back to pass. He to Donnelly against Zivic. Complete. Lube completes the pass to Donnelly. Penalty flag.
Holding. Offense. 10-yard penalty.
Third and 20. Single wing formation. Lube fades back to pass. Medium cross to Wemple. He dropped it. Lube throws incomplete to Wemple. Hogue deep in punt formation. Boswell standing inside his own 10. "41-yard punt by Hogue. Return of 9 by Boswell. Single wing formation. Boswell behind center. Boswell in the shotgun. Boswell is off and running. 2-yard run by Boswell, Buck on the tackle. Single wing formation. Hand off to Davis. Davis on the carry, gain of 3, flag on the field.
Illegal motion. Offense. Number 31. 5-yard penalty.
Single wing formation. Mosley fades back to pass. Mosley tucks it under. Mosley has daylight. Mosley with a gain of 23 on the play. Lube with the tackle. First down. First and 10 at the 42. Single wing formation. Hand off to Boswell. Boswell on the carry, gain of 2. Garvey on the tackle. Single wing formation. Boswell hands to Davis. Davis on the carry, gain of 10. Lube on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Boswell gives to Holm. Holm with the carry, loss of 4. Wemple with the tackle. Single wing formation. Mosley is back to pass. Short hitch, caught by Holm at the 44. Mosley completes the pass to Holm, gain of 12, Scoville on the tackle. 3rd and 2. Single wing formation. Hand off to Boswell. Boswell with the carry, loss of 2, Donnelly with the tackle. Hughes from punt formation. Hogue waiting inside his own 10. "34-yard punt by Hughes, out of bounds. Single wing formation. Lube from the shotgun. Wilson hands to Wilson. 1-yard run by Wilson, Shoemaker on the tackle. Single wing formation. Wilson behind center. Wilson tucks it under. Wilson on the carry, no gain, Borders on the stop. 3rd and 9 at the 7. Single wing formation. Lube fades back to pass. Medium cross to Wemple. Complete. Lube to Wemple, 62-yard gain, Holm with the tackle, 1st down. No score. Single wing formation. Wilson hands to Wilson. Wilson on the sweep, loss of 4, Borders with the tackle. 2nd and 14 from the 35. Single wing formation. Lube fades back to pass. Short out to Zimmerman. He dropped it. Lube passes to Zimmerman, incomplete, Zivic on the coverage. 3rd and 14. Single wing formation. Lube barks out the signals. Lube fades back to pass. Lube is running. Lube with the carry, gain of 5, Borders on the tackle. Fourth and 9 from the 30. Single wing formation. Lube drops back to pass. Lube passes to Hogue. He dropped it. Lube throws incomplete to Hogue. Penalty on the play.
Holding, offense. Number 70, 10-yard penalty.
Single wing formation. Shotgun. Bootleg. Mosley on the bootleg, no gain, Buck with the tackle. Second and 10 from the 30. Single wing formation. Boswell tucks it under. Mosley gains 1 on the sweep, Donnelly on the tackle. Third and 9 at the 31. 5:30 in the first. Single wing formation. Mosley calls the signals. The give to Boswell. He throws to Davis, complete. Boswell completes the pass to Davis, gain of 15, Buck on the tackle, 1st down. Single wing formation. Holm with the handoff. Holm on the carry, no gain, Donnelly on the tackle. Second and 10 from the 46. Single wing formation. Davis takes the handoff. 2-yard run by Davis, Wemple on the tackle. Third and 8 at the 48. Single wing formation. Boswell behind center. Boswell on the draw. Boswell on the carry, no gain, Wemple on the tackle. Hughes deep in punt formation. Hogue waiting inside his own 10. "17-yard punt by Hughes, out of bounds. First and 10. Single wing formation. Lube in the shotgun. Sets to throw. Drop by Shoemaker. Lube is sacked by Shoemaker, loss of 7. Single wing formation. Lube drops back to pass. Short out. Caught by Donnelly at the 41. Lube completes the pass to Donnelly, gain of 18, Civic on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. And off to Lube. He throws to Wilson. He dropped it. Lube passes to Wilson, incomplete, Boswell on the coverage. Single wing formation. Lube takes a deep drop. Medium button hook to Donnelly. Incomplete. Lube throws incomplete to Donnelly, Civic on the coverage. Third and 10. Single wing formation. And off to Lube. He throws to Herman. He dropped it. Lube to Herman, incomplete, Boschi on the coverage. Hogue from punt formation. Mosley waiting inside his own 10. "35-yard punt by Hogue, 14-yard return by Mosley. Single wing formation. Boswell behind center. Shotgun. Medium out to Warren. Incomplete. Boswell to Warren, incomplete, Lube on the coverage. Single wing formation. And off to Holm. Holm on the carry, gain of 1, Scoville on the stop. Third and 9 from the 34. Single wing formation. Boswell fades deep in the pocket. False. Boswell with a gain of 2 on the play, Wemple on the tackle. Hughes deep in punt formation. "30-yard punt by Hughes, 8-yard return by Hogue. No score. Single wing formation. Lube from the shotgun. The give to Hogue. Hogue on the carry, loss of 1, Warren on the stop. Single wing formation. Give to Lube. Lube throws underneath to Wemple, complete. Lube to Wemple, gain of 11, Holm on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. And off to Lube. He throws to Wemple. Incomplete. Lube to Wemple, incomplete, Holm on the coverage. Single wing formation. And off to Lube. He throws to Wilson. Complete. Lube completes the pass to Wilson, 14-yard gain, Bostic with the tackle, first down. End of the first quarter, Duke 0, Colgate 0. Single wing formation. Give to Herman. Herman with a gain of 3 on the play, Shoemaker on the tackle. Second and 7 at the 31. Single wing formation. Herman takes the handoff. Herman on the carry, loss of 2, Warren on the tackle. 3rd and 9. Single wing formation. Lube drops back to pass. Medium hitch. Caught by Wemple. Lube completes the pass to Wemple, touchdown Colgate. Hogue will try the point after. Hogue makes the extra point, Colgate 7, Duke 0. Scoville to kick off. The kick from Scoville is returned 21 yards by Holm, Johnson on the tackle. First and 10. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Hand off to Boswell. Boswell the ball carrier, gain of 3, Donnelly on the tackle. Duke down 7. 2nd and 7 from the 43. Single wing formation. Holm with the handoff. 2-yard run by Holm, Scoville on the tackle. Third and 5 from the 45. Single wing formation. Bootleg. Mosley with the carry, gain of 6, Wemple on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. High snap. Fumble. Mosley the ball carrier, loss of 8. Fumble recovered by Neal, Colgate ball. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Busted play. Lube lost 4 on the play, Merrill with the tackle. Single wing formation. Hand off to Lube. He throws to Hogue. He dropped it. Lube throws incomplete to Hogue. Penalty on the play.
Ineligible man downfield. Offense, number 70, 5-yard penalty.
Second and 19 at the 49. Single wing formation. Lube calls the signals. Drops back to pass. Short hitch. Incomplete. Lube throws incomplete to Wemple. Penalty flag.
Holding defense. Number 55, 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Single wing formation. Lube drops back to pass. Pass in the flat. Herman with the catch at the 48. Lube passes to Herman, gain of 27, Boschi on the tackle, first down. Flag on the field.
False start. Offense. Number 45, 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Single wing formation. Lube calls the signals. The give to Lube. He throws to Hogue. Incomplete. Lube passes to Hogue. Incomplete. Boswell with the coverage. Single wing formation. Lube fades back to pass. Medium fly to Wemple. Complete. Lube passes to Wemple. Touchdown Colgate. Hogue will try the point after. Hogue converts the extra point, Colgate 14, Duke 0. Here's the kick from Scoville. The kick from Scoville is returned 26 yards by Holm, Coley on the tackle. Duke down 14. First and 10 from the 35. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Boswell takes the handoff. Boswell with daylight. Boswell with the carry, gain of 21, Lube with the tackle, first down. First and 10. Single wing formation. Boswell gives to Davis. Davis lost 3 on the play, Donnelly on the stop. Second and 13. Single wing formation. Hand off to Boswell. Boswell checks down to Warren, he dropped it. Boswell throws incomplete to Warren, Lube on the coverage. Duke trailing by 14. Third and 13 from the 47. Single wing formation. Hand off to Mosley. He throws to Boswell. He dropped it. Mosley to Boswell, incomplete, Herman on the coverage. Hughes from punt formation. Hogue standing inside his own 10. A 22-yard punt by Hughes, out of bounds. First and 10. Single wing formation. Shotgun. The hand off to Hogue. Hogue with a 4-yard run, Shoemaker on the tackle. Single wing formation. Wilson gives to Herman. Room for Herman. 13-yard gain by Herman, Bostic on the tackle, first down. First and 10 from the 42. Single wing formation. Some movement up front. Possible free play for Lube. Hogue takes the handoff. Hogue on the carry, no gain, penalty on the play.
Encroachment, defense. Number 14, 5-yard penalty.
First and 5 from the 47. Single wing formation. Wilson gives to Herman. Herman on the carry, loss of 1, Bostic with the tackle. Single wing formation. Lube sets up in the pocket. Medium crossing pattern to Wemple. Complete. Lube passes to Wemple, gain of 32, Holm on the tackle, first down. First and 10. Single wing formation. Wilson behind center. Medium hitch to Herman. Complete. Wilson completes the pass to Herman, touchdown Colgate. Hogue will try the point after. The conversion failed, Colgate 20, Duke 0. Here's the kick from Scoville. The kick from Scoville is returned 22 yards by Siemens, Johnson on the stop. Duke trailing by 20. Single wing formation. Mosley from the shotgun. Hand off to Mosley. He throws to Davis. Complete. Mosley to Davis, gain of 16, Lube on the tackle, first down. Duke trailing by 20. Single wing formation. Hand off to Mosley. He throws to Bradford. Complete. Mosley to Bradford, gain of 15, Buck on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Boswell gives to Davis. Davis on the carry, gain of 1, flag on the play.
Holding, offense. Number 31, 10-yard penalty.
Duke trailing by 20. First and 20 at the 42. 7:13 in the second. Single wing formation. Mosley at the line. Boswell sets up in the pocket. Boswell is off and running. Boswell on the carry, 7-yard gain, penalty flag.
Offense, number 43, 15-yard penalty.
Duke down 20. Single wing formation. Mosley fades back to pass. Short slant. Incomplete. Mosley throws incomplete to Warren, Lube on the coverage. Second and 35 from the 43. Single wing formation. Mosley fades back to pass. Medium in. Tipped by Lube at the 40. Mosley is intercepted by Hogue, return of 0. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Hand off to Herman. Herman with a gain of 2 on the play, Merrill on the tackle. Single wing formation. Wilson behind center. Short hitch to Herman. Incomplete. Wilson throws incomplete to Herman, Boschi on the coverage. Third and 8. Single wing formation. Lube barks out the signals. He fades back to pass. Medium outside pass. Incomplete. Lube with the pass to Herman, incomplete, Boschi with the coverage. Hogue back in punt formation. "41-yard punt by Hogue, return of 8 by Boswell. Single wing formation. Mosley in the shotgun. Boswell gives to Boswell. Boswell on the carry, no gain, Scoville on the tackle. Second and 10. Single wing formation. The give to Boswell. He throws to Holm, incomplete. Boswell to Holm, incomplete, Scoville on the coverage. Third and 10. Single wing formation. Mosley back to pass. He dumps it to Holm. Mosley is intercepted by Lee, return of 2. Single wing formation. From the shotgun. The hand off to Hogue. Hogue on the carry, no gain, Bostic with the tackle. Colgate by 20. Single wing formation. Give to Lou. He throws to Wemple. Complete. Lou completes the pass to Wemple, gain of 12, Holm on the tackle, first down. First and 10 at the 23. Single wing formation. Lube drops back to pass. Lube is off and running. Lube on the carry, gain of 3, Merrill with the tackle. Single wing formation. Lube fades back to pass. He dumps it to Johnson. Incomplete. Lube to Johnson, incomplete, Boshi on the coverage. Third and 7. Single wing formation. Draw to Lube. Lube gains 8 on the draw, Bostic on the tackle, first down. Colgate by 20. First and 10 from the 12. Single wing formation. Lube calling signals. The handoff to Wilson. 4-yard gain by Wilson, Borders on the tackle. Single wing formation. Lube at the line. The give to Wilson. Wilson on the carry, no gain, Warren on the tackle. Third and 6 at the 8. Single wing formation. Lube drops back to pass. Lube will run. 4-yard run by Lube, Borders with the tackle. 21-yard try for Scoville. Lube to hold. Clean snap from Buck. The snap from Buck. Scoville made the 21-yard field goal, Colgate 23, Duke 0. Here's the kick from Scoville. The kick from Scoville is returned 12 yards by Mosley, Coley on the tackle. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Bootleg. Mosley on the bootleg, gain of 7, Lube on the tackle. Second and 3 at the 34. Single wing formation. Mosley calling signals. Hand off to Mosley. He throws to Boswell. Incomplete. Mosley throws incomplete to Boswell, penalty on the play.
Pass interference, defense. Automatic, first down.
Single wing formation. Mosley drops back to pass. Mosley will run. Mosley gets to the second level. 18-yard run by Mosley, Lube on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Boswell hands to Holm. Holm with a gain of 2 on the play, Wemple on the tackle. Single wing formation. Hurry up. The handoff to Davis. 3-yard gain by Davis, Garvey on the tackle. Third and 5 from the 31. Single wing formation. Mosley at the line. The give to Mosley. He throws to Davis. Incomplete. Mosley throws incomplete to Davis.
Intentional grounding. Offense, number 53, 10-yard penalty. Loss of down.
Hughes will punt. Hogue waiting inside his own 10. "31-yard punt by Hughes, no return. Single wing formation. Lube from the shotgun. Lube sets up in the pocket. Lube is running with it. Lube on the carry, 2-yard gain, Warren with the tackle. Colgate by 23. Second and 8 from the 12. 0:16 to go in the second. Single wing formation. Lube taking his time. Wilson tucks it under. Lube with a gain of 9 on the play, Shoemaker on the tackle, first down. End of the first half, Colgate 23, Duke 0. Waits to kick off. The kick from Waits is returned 19 yards by Herman, Hughes on the tackle. Single wing formation. Lube in the shotgun. Hogue with the handoff. Hogue lost one on the play, Warren on the tackle. Second and 11. Single wing formation. Lube back to pass. Lube dumps it to Hogue. Complete. Lube to Hogue, 10-yard gain, Holm on the tackle. Third and 1 at the 43. Single wing formation. Bootleg. Lube with a 2-yard run, Blackwell on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. The give to Lube. Lube throws to Hogue. Incomplete. Lube to Hogue. Incomplete. Boswell on the coverage. Second and 10 from the 45. Single wing formation. The snap is fumbled. Fumble. Lube lost 5 on the play. Fumble recovered by Lube. Colgate maintains possession. Third and 15. Single wing formation. Lube sets up in the pocket. Medium into Zimmerman. Incomplete. Lube to Zimmerman, incomplete, Civic with the coverage. Hogue back in punt formation. "39-yard punt by Hogue, 12-yard return by Boswell. Single wing formation. Boswell behind center. Boswell from the shotgun. Boswell tucks it under. Boswell on the carry, 2-yard gain, Donnelly with the tackle. Single wing formation. Mosley fades back to pass. Mosley will run. Lots of daylight. Mosley with the carry, gain of 15, Lube on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Boswell behind center. Boswell on the draw. Boswell gains 9 on the draw, Hogue on the tackle. Second and 1. Single wing formation. Boswell tucks it under. Mosley gains 2 on the sweep, Zimmerman on the tackle, first down. First and 10 from the 39. Single wing formation. Boswell running. Mosley on the carry, gain of 11, flag on the play.
Holding, offense. Number 31, 10-yard penalty.
First and 20. Single wing formation. Give to Mosley. He throws to Boswell. Complete. Mosley completes the pass to Boswell, penalty on the play.
Pass interference, offense. Number 55, 15-yard penalty.
Duke trailing by 23. First and 35 at the 36. Single wing formation. Mosley fades back to pass. Medium hitch to Warren. Incomplete. Mosley throws incomplete to Warren, Lube on the coverage. Single wing formation. Hand off to Mosley. He throws to Davis. He makes the catch. Mosley with the pass to Davis, 15-yard gain, Buck on the tackle. Third and 20 from the 49. Single wing formation. Mosley fades back to pass. Long hitch. He dropped it. Mosley to Warren, incomplete, Lube on the coverage. Hughes back in punt formation. Hogue waiting inside his own 10. "18-yard punt by Hughes, out of bounds. Single wing formation. Shotgun. The give to Herman. Herman the ball carrier, no gain, Wood on the tackle. Second and 10 at the 31. Single wing formation. Lube at the line. Wilson running. Lube with a 9-yard run, Holm on the tackle. Third and 1 at the 40. Single wing formation. The hand off to Hogue. 2-yard run by Hogue, Wood on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Lube calls out the signals. Hand off to Wilson. Wilson with the carry, no gain, Blackwell on the stop. Single wing formation. Lube calls out the signals. Hand off to Wilson. Wilson on the carry, no gain, Warren with the tackle. Third and 10 from the 42. Single wing formation. Lube sets up in the pocket. Medium cross. Complete. Lube completes the pass to Wemple, gain of 34, Holm with the tackle, first down. Colgate by 23. First and 10. Single wing formation. Wilson gives to Wilson. Wilson lost 2 on the play, Borders on the tackle. Colgate ahead by 23. Single wing formation. Lube fades back to pass. Medium hitch to Donnelly. Incomplete. Lube throws incomplete to Donnelly, Zivic on the coverage. Third and 12. Single wing formation. Lube fades back to pass. False. Lube with a gain of 1 on the play, Bostic on the tackle. Fourth and 11 from the 25. Single wing formation. Lube at the line. Give to Lube. He throws to Wemple. Intercepted by Boswell. Lube is intercepted by Boswell, return of 0. First and 10 from the 20. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Mosley at the line. Boswell tucks it under. Mosley gains 9 on the sweep. Penalty flag.
Holding offense. Number 37, 10-yard penalty.
Single wing formation. Mosley from the shotgun. He fades back to pass. Mosley throws deep downfield. Incomplete. Mosley throws incomplete to Blackwell. Single wing formation. Mosley at the line. Drops back to pass. Medium hitch to Warren. Complete. Mosley passes to Warren, gain of 23, Lube on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Hand off to Holm. Holm on the carry, loss of 1, Garvey with the tackle. Single wing formation. Mosley barks out the signals. Davis with the handoff. Davis with a 3-yard run, Buck with the tackle. Third and 8. Single wing formation. Boswell fades back to pass. False. Boswell with a gain of 6 on the play, Neal with the tackle. Hughes back in punt formation. .34-yard punt by Hughes, return of 6 by Hogue.
Illegal block. Receiving team.
Single wing formation. Shotgun. Hogue takes the handoff. Hogue with the carry, loss of 1, Borders on the tackle. Red Raiders by 23. Single wing formation. Slow down offense. Wilson gives to Herman. Herman with a gain of 1 on the play, Shoemaker on the tackle. Third and 10 from the 13. Single wing formation. Lube slow to the line. Lube calls the signals. Lube fades back to pass. Lube is off and running. 8-yard gain by Lube, Borders on the tackle. Hogue back in punt formation. .41-yard punt by Hogue, return of 5 by Mosley. Single wing formation. From the shotgun. Hand off to Davis. Davis the ball carrier, loss of 1, Wemple on the tackle. Second and 11 from the 42. Single wing formation. Give to Boswell. Boswell throws under, complete. Boswell to Holm, 3-yard gain, Scoville on the tackle. Third and 8 from the 45. Single wing formation. Mosley fades back to pass. Pass in the flat to Holm, complete. Mosley completes the pass to Holm, gain of 7, Lube with the tackle. Hughes from punt formation. Lube standing inside his own 10. .32-yard punt by Hughes, 12-yard return by Lube.
Illegal block. Receiving team.
Single wing formation. Lube from the shotgun. Wilson pitches left to Herman. Herman lost 5 on the play, Borders on the tackle. Single wing formation. Colgate taking their time. The give to Lube. He throws to Wemple. He dropped it. Lube to Wemple, incomplete, Holm on the coverage. 3rd and 15. Single wing formation. Lube calls out the signals. Hand off to Lube. He throws to Wemple. Complete. Lube completes the pass to Wemple, gain of 15, Holm on the tackle, first down, end of the third quarter, Colgate 23, Duke 0, single wing formation. Give to Herman. Herman on the carry, no gain, Borders on the tackle. Second and 10 from the 20. Single wing formation. Colgate taking their time. Wilson hands to Hogue. Hogue lost one on the play, Warren on the tackle. Third and 11 at the 19. Single wing formation. Lube working very slowly. Drops back to pass. He throws underneath to Herman. Incomplete. Lube passes to Herman, incomplete, Boschi on the coverage. Hogue deep in punt formation. "39-yard punt by Hogue, return of 8 by Mosley. Mosley brings them to the line. First and 10 from the 50. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Hand off to Davis. Davis on the carry, gain of 6, Buck with the tackle. Single wing formation. Davis with the hand off. Davis with the carry, no gain, Scoville on the tackle. Third and 4 from the 44. Single wing formation. Mosley calling signals. Hand off to Boswell. He throws to Blackwell, incomplete. Boswell passes to Blackwell, incomplete, Hogue on the coverage.
Pass interference, defense. Number 17. Automatic, first down.
Single wing formation. Boswell hands to Holm. Holm on the carry, 5-yard gain, Hamilton with the tackle. Duke down by 23. Second and 5 from the 25. Single wing formation. Mosley calling the signals. Mosley back to pass. Mosley is off and running. Blocking in front. Mosley with an 18-yard run, Scoville on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Boswell hands to Boswell. Boswell with the carry, no gain, Garvey on the tackle. Single wing formation. Holm takes the handoff. 6-yard run by Holm, Hogue with the tackle. Third and goal from the 1. Single wing formation. Goal line defense. Boswell tucks it under. Mosley on the sweep, touchdown Duke. Bradford will try the point after. The kick by Bradford is good, Colgate 23, Duke 7. The kick from Waits. The kick from Waits is returned 14 yards by Wilson, Hughes on the tackle. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Herman takes the handoff. Herman with the carry, gain of 3, Shoemaker on the stop. Second and 7 at the 36. Single wing formation. Wilson behind center. Colgate working slowly. Short out pass to Herman. He dropped it. Wilson to Herman, incomplete, Foshi on the coverage. Third and 7 from the 36. Single wing formation. Wilson gives to Hogue. Hogue on the carry, gain of 1, Shoemaker on the tackle. Hogue back in punt formation. "40-yard punt by Hogue, return of 13 by Mosley. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Holm with the handoff. Holm running room. 14-yard run by Holm, loop on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Hustling to the line. Mosley at the line. Boswell gives to Boswell. 4-yard run by Boswell, Donnelly on the tackle. Timeout, Colgate. Second and 6. Single wing formation. Boswell gives to Davis. Davis on the carry, no gain, Zimmerman with the tackle. Third and 6 from the 46. Single wing formation. Hurry up offense. Mosley fades back to pass. Mosley will run. Mosley on the carry, gain of 8, Scoville on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Duke in a hurry up. The handoff to Holm. Holm on the carry, gain of 10, Scoville on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Hurry up. Mosley calling the signals. Boswell hands to Davis. Davis with the carry, gain of 4, Zimmerman on the tackle. Flag on the play.
False start. Offense. Number 31, 5-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
Second and 11. Single wing formation. Mosley at the line. Boswell gives to Davis. 3-yard gain by Davis, Wemple with the tackle. Penalty on the play.
False start. Offense. Number 46, 5-yard penalty. Repeat, third down.
Third and 13 at the 31. Single wing formation. Mosley at the line. The give to Boswell. He throws to Warren. Incomplete. Boswell to Warren, incomplete, Lube on the coverage. Fourth and 13 at the 31. Single wing formation. Mosley back to pass. Medium slant to Blackwell, complete. Mosley to Blackwell, touchdown Duke. Bradford will try the point after. The kick by Bradford is no good. Colgate 23, Duke 13. Waits with the kick. The kick from Waits is returned 12 yards by Herman, Hughes on the tackle. Single wing formation. Shotgun. The handoff to Wilson. Wilson on the carry, no gain, Wood with the tackle. Single wing formation. Slow down offense. Wilson running. Lube with a 10-yard run, home on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Taking their time. Wilson with the give to Wilson. Wilson with a 3-yard run, Wood on the tackle. Single wing formation. Slow down. Herman with the handoff. Herman with a gain of 2 on the play, Shoemaker with the tackle. Colgate leads by 10. 3rd and 5 at the 39. Single wing formation. Colgate taking their time. Draw to Hogue. Hogue lost 3 on the play, Warren on the tackle. Hogue back to punt. "33-yard punt by Hogue, 10-yard return by Mosley. Duke down 10. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Bootleg. Mosley lost 2 on the play, Garvey on the tackle. Single wing formation. Duke hustling to the line. Hand off to Boswell. He throws to Holm, incomplete. Boswell passes to Holm, incomplete.
Pass interference, defense. Number 70, 5-yard penalty. Automatic, first down.
Single wing formation. Mosley sets up in the pocket. Long slant to Warren. Incomplete. Mosley throws incomplete to Warren, Lube on the coverage. Single wing formation. Mosley fades back to pass. Mosley checks down to Blackwell, complete. Mosley passes to Blackwell, gain of 39, Hogue on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Duke hustling to the line. Mosley drops back to pass. It's dumped to Blackwell. Picked off by Herman at the 9. Mosley is intercepted by Herman. Flag on the play.
Roughing the passer, defense. Number 53. Automatic, first down.
First and goal. Single wing formation. Mosley is back to pass. Medium button hook. Mosley throws incomplete to Davis, Buck on the coverage. Single wing formation. The give to Boswell. He throws to Warren, he dropped it. Boswell throws incomplete to Warren, Lube with the coverage. Duke trailing by 10. 3rd and goal at the 8. 1:40 left in the game. Single wing formation. Hand off to Mosley. He throws to Warren. Complete. Mosley passes to Warren, touchdown Duke. The conversion failed, Colgate 23, Duke 19. Hans team on the field. Here's the kick from Waits. The kick from Waits is returned 2 yards by Herman, Beard with the tackle. Single wing formation. Lube from the shotgun. Bootleg. Lube with a gain of 5 on the play, Blackwell on the tackle. Single wing formation. Wilson with the handoff to Herman. 1 yard gain by Herman, Borders with the tackle. Third and 4 from the 41. Single wing formation. Lube drops back to pass. Lube will run. With the lane. Lube the ball carrier, gain of 13, Bostic with the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Bootleg. Lube the ball carrier, no gain, Warren on the tackle. Colgate by 4. Single wing formation. Lube taking his time. Lube barks out the signals. Wilson gives to Herman. Herman on the carry, no gain, Bostic with the tackle. Colgate 23, Duke 19.